You are standing inside a stadium that seems to breathe. Every red shirt around you rises at once. The noise does not sound like cheering anymore. It sounds like a country discovering that the impossible might be real. On the pitch, Spain have just failed to score in a World Cup quarterfinal penalty shootout. One kick now separates South Korea from the semifinals. How did a team that had never won a World Cup match before this tournament get here? To understand the shock, you have to begin with the weight South Korea carried into 2002. The country had appeared at 5 previous World Cups, yet victory had never arrived. There had been brave moments, heavy defeats, and endless promises that Asian football was improving, but the scoreboard kept delivering the same message. South Korea could participate. South Korea could compete. But South Korea could not win. Then the tournament came home. South Korea and Japan became the first countries in Asia to host the World Cup, and suddenly the national team was no longer traveling into somebody else's football culture. The stadiums were new. The streets were red. The expectation was enormous. Could home advantage turn history into something else? The man asked to answer that question was Guus Hiddink. You might have expected a coach to arrive with a clever formation, draw arrows on a board, and promise attacking football. Hiddink began somewhere more uncomfortable. He looked at the players and decided that talent was not the first problem. The problem was that South Korea had to become physically and mentally capable of playing elite football at full speed for an entire tournament. That meant changing how the national team lived. Hiddink wanted the squad prepared almost like a club side, with long camps, demanding conditioning, stronger opposition in friendly matches, and enough time together for movement to become instinct. Fitness specialist Raymond Verheijen helped introduce periodized training, meaning the workload was planned in cycles so the players could reach their physical peak when the tournament began. It was not running for the sake of suffering. It was training the body to repeat intense actions, recover quickly, and repeat them again. Could a team outrun its old identity? The early results did not make Hiddink look like a genius. South Korea lost preparation matches. Criticism grew. The team appeared too open, too experimental, and not ready for the pressure building around it. But Hiddink kept selecting players who could follow the new rhythm. Park Ji-sung could press, recover, carry the ball, and appear in unexpected spaces. Yoo Sang-chul brought strength and tactical flexibility. Hong Myung-bo gave the defense calmness and experience. Lee Young-pyo and Song Chong-gug supplied energy from wide areas. The names were not yet global. The system was becoming stronger than the reputation of any one player. That system was often described with numbers such as 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, but the numbers mattered less than the behavior. South Korea defended with 3 central players, used wide players who could race up and down the touchline, and pushed midfielders forward to pressure the opponent before attacks could settle. Pressing simply means closing down the player with the ball quickly, while also blocking the easy passes around him. You do not wait for danger near your own goal. You chase the danger while it is still being created. Why was that so disruptive? European and South American teams expected South Korea to play with caution. Instead, they met a side willing to attack space, challenge every loose ball, and keep moving after the opponent expected the pace to drop. The strategy did not remove technical weakness. It made the match physically uncomfortable enough for stronger teams to lose control. Then came Poland and Busan. You feel the opening whistle and immediately notice that South Korea are not playing like nervous hosts. They move forward. They tackle. They force Poland backward. Hwang Sun-hong scores in the first half, turning a cross into the first breakthrough. Yoo Sang-chul adds another after the interval. The final score is 2-0. After decades of trying, South Korea have finally won a World Cup match. Was the curse broken, or had something much larger begun? The next match against the United States brings resistance. South Korea fall behind, but recover to draw 1 through An Jung-hwan. The result leaves the group open. Portugal now stand between the hosts and the knockout stage. Portugal are not merely respected. They possess Luis Figo, Rui Costa, and a generation expected to challenge deep into the tournament. But the match becomes chaotic. João Pinto is sent off. Beto is later dismissed too. Against 9 men, South Korea still need the goal that makes control feel real. Park Ji-sung supplies it. You see him receive the ball, bring it under control, move beyond his defender, and finish past Viterbaya. South Korea win 1-0 and finish top of the group. The country has not squeezed through. It has defeated one of Europe's most gifted teams. What happens when survival turns into belief? Idly happens. The round of 16 match in Daejeon becomes one of the most dramatic and disputed games in World Cup history. An Jung-hwan misses an early penalty, saved by Gianluigi Buffon. Christian Vieri then heads idly in front. For most of the night, South Korea run, press, attack, and fail to find the equalizer. The clock approaches the end. Italy begin to feel the quarterfinals beneath their feet. Then Seol Kaihayan punishes a defensive mistake and scores. The stadium explodes. Extra time begins under the golden goal rule, meaning the next goal ends the match instantly. Can pressure become history before exhaustion becomes defeat? The controversy cannot be removed from what follows. Referee Byron Moreno sends Francesco Totti off after showing him a second yellow card for simulation, judging that Totti had deliberately fallen to win a penalty. Italy believe the decision is outrageous. Damiano Tomasi later breaks through and finishes, but the assistant referee raises the flag for offside. Replays fuel arguments that have never fully disappeared. Some viewers see a historic underdog performance. Others see a match distorted by officiating. You do not have to erase either reaction to understand the final moment. Lee Young-pyo crosses from the left. On rises near Paolo Maldini, the same striker who missed the early penalty heads the ball beyond Buffon. The game ends immediately. South Korea have beaten Italy 2-1. On runs into a wall of red noise, and an entire country runs with him. Is this fortune, fitness, courage, controversy, or all four at once? Spain arrive in the quarterfinal with more of the ball and more international pedigree. South Korea arrive after playing extra time only days earlier. This is where Hiddink's preparation becomes visible. The legs keep moving. The defensive shape keeps reforming. Lee Woon-jae remains composed in goal. Spain have 2 efforts disallowed, and both decisions become part of the tournament's lasting argument. One is ruled out for a foul. Another attack is stopped because the officials judge that the ball has crossed the goal line before Wokin sends it into the area. Spanish players protest. South Korean players continue. After 120 scoreless minutes, the match reaches penalties. What does courage look like when every player knows one mistake will follow him forever? South Korea score the first kick. Spain answer. The pattern continues until Wokin steps forward. Lee Woon-jae dives and saves. Now Hong Myungbo walks toward the penalty spot. He is the captain, the veteran, and the calm center of the team. He scores. South Korea win the shootout 5-3. You are back inside that stadium from the opening moment, except now the impossible has crossed the line and become fact. South Korea are in the World Cup semifinals. No Asian team has ever reached this stage before. The shock is not contained inside the stadium. Across Seoul and other cities, enormous crowds in red shirts gather around public screens. The Red Devils supporters help turn organized chants into a national ritual. Football becomes a shared language between children, workers, students, families, and strangers. For several weeks, the national team is no longer merely representing the country. It is changing how the country sees itself. Can a tournament victory become a cultural memory stronger than the trophy itself? Germany finally end the run in the semifinal. South Korea still press and compete, but the spaces are smaller now, and the bodies are carrying the cost of the journey. Michael Ballack scores the only goal. Germany win 1-0. South Korea then lose 3. 2 to Turkey in the third-place match and finish 4th. There is no medal for 4th place. There is no World Cup trophy. Yet the story does not feel like failure. Why? Because the real shock was not that South Korea almost reached the final. The real shock was that the world had misunderstood what an outsider could become with time, structure, physical preparation, tactical courage, and a home crowd that refused to behave like a background detail. Hiddink did not discover 11 secret superstars. He created conditions in which players could perform beyond the limits previously assigned to them. Park Ji-sung later followed Hiddink to SV Eindhoven and eventually became a Premier League and Champions League winner with Manchester United. Lee Young-pyo also moved to ESV before playing in England and Germany. Other Korean players gained new routes into European football. The tournament did not instantly make South Korea a permanent world power. It did change the level of possibility. That distinction matters. You can copy a formation. You can copy a fitness program. You cannot copy the exact pressure, unity, timing, and emotional force of a home World Cup. This is also why the 2002 run remains controversial. The disputed decisions against Italy and Spain are real parts of the record. Pretending they did not matter weakens the story. But pretending they explain everything also ignores the months of preparation. The group victory over Portugal, the physical intensity, the late equalizer against Italy, the penalty execution against Spain, and the discipline required to survive match after match. Luck may open a door. A team still has to run through it. What do you see when a modern underdog presses a favorite into panic? You see a piece of South Korea in 2002. When a host nation turns its stadiums and public squares into one enormous source of energy, you see it again. When a coach decides that preparation can narrow a gap that reputation says is permanent, the same idea returns. Football history often celebrates the team that lifts the trophy, But some teams change the imagination of everyone watching without ever touching it. South Korea did not become world champions in 2002. They became proof. Proof that an old record can disappear in 1 month. Proof that tactical discipline can make courage repeatable. Proof that a country can enter a tournament hoping for one victory and leave it having changed the geography of football ambition. You are standing inside a stadium that seems to breathe. Only now, the sound is not a country discovering that the impossible might be real. It is a country knowing that it already happened.